Hey, what's up, guys? So I wanted to take a little time in this video to kind of recap some of the things going on Discord and YouTube videos, Twitch videos, just the community overall. And I just want to start by saying this is just my viewpoint or my vantage point on how I see the overall picture of what's going on here. And this is not to try to turn people against anybody or rally people towards anybody. It's just my viewpoint, and I'm trying to be as partial as I can on it from a standpoint of just liking to still play the game. And I think the first person I want to bring up that I saw, and I'm not going to say a lot of names, but I do want to say his name is Manguli, because I think Manguli took a very empathetic approach to his last video, and he was very as non-biased as he possibly could be about the game. And just piggybacking on that, he brought up some of the good things going on in the game and some of the bad things going on in the game, as well as a number of other content creators did. And I do want to say Mobile Gamer, I thought, did a very good job of trying to have some balance with how he saw it, as well as Valley Fly-In. And now I don't want to bring up other content creators because I watched a number of videos and we've heard about guys quitting. I've looked at some of their videos. And so I want to touch on that first because I think that's important for us to have that in mind, that when guys have been playing the game since global launch or shortly after global launch, that's a long time. That's 5 years, going on almost 6 years. I've been playing over 4 years. It's about 4.5 years. So that's a long time to be playing the game. And so there's some wear and tear when you become a content creator. And that when you first start off, it's just a lot of fun and games. It's just very casual. You're making videos. You're on Twitch. And as you start to get better and better at the game and better at making videos, it takes more time. There's a lot of time that goes into not just streaming, but the editing of videos, the creative aspect, the thoughts that go into it, their emotions, their planning and overall concept of how to make the video entertaining, educational, informative, so on and so on. So it's a lot of work and it can be tiring, but more than anything, it's time consuming. And I'm not trying to say your time is just related to money, because that old saying, time is money. I think in a lot of these guys' decisions, it has a lot to do with their personal life preference and how they want to live for themselves and how that relates to their family and friends. And so that kind of brings me over to the game. And some of the content creators are saying, my friends are leaving the game or have left the game, and I have a lot of friends that are no longer here. I think these are very valid statements and comments, and there's a lot of thoughts and feelings behind the two. And so in no way am I trying to make any of that, bring that down or put that in a negative light or even put it on a pedestal. I'm just going to be, my approach to this is just a very neutral outlook on the game. And so I'm just going to make some comments on the general basis of what I've heard on that, so I can try to bring together this viewpoint a little bit better on what I'm talking about here. And so just some of the bullet points, like I said, is guys are quitting the game because it's too time consuming. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to get back into some of the personal things that they had going on, whether it be hobbies or events or things that are going on in that nature that this game and making videos has taken them away from. And even if you're not making videos, it's probably the same thing, as well as this whole pay-to-win concept when it's going from pay-to-play to pay-to-win. And I do agree with that. I do think it's more of a pay-to-win concept. And to add the balance to that, there have been a lot of good things added to the game for free-to-play over the beginning of this year. And there seems to be more good things to come, as a few of these content creators have outlined. And so when we look at that total big picture, I think it just comes back down to, can you enjoy the game where it is now? And part of this, from my vantage point, is we don't have to have the newest release right away. We don't have to have the next legendary and unlock that legendary as soon as they come out. We don't have to feel like we're not competing because whatever the so-called pay-to-win team is, that's going to upset the balances. And the biggest example I want to bring into play here is if you don't have Mephisto, you're still competing. If you don't have Scroll, you're still competing. If you don't have APOC, you're still competing. None of this is different. And that's why I went into my whole pursuit in DD7, because to be where I'm at, I'm spending some money. And I think most people where I'm at have spent some money. Some more, some less, whatever you're doing, you're spending. And so that may be looked at as a pay to play. That could be looked at as a pay to win. That could be looked at as a whale or a kraken. Whatever viewpoint, I think it's valid. So with all that said, I just want to kind of narrow this down into 3 sections of what I think is the most important aspects of what I heard in a number of videos. The first one is people want to feel like they can compete and be competitive and have a chance to win. That is extremely important. And maybe Scopely overstepped in trying to make a lot of money on this event. Maybe they backpedaled enough to make it right. Whatever the case may be, I think that's the most valid thing going on, is people want to compete. And so we'll talk about that a little bit after I make these other 2 points. The way I see the next one is people don't want to have to pay to win, because that ties into, now I'm not competing to win, I'm just paying to win. And one content creator went on to say that when he went on to do the Old Man Logan event, he felt like he just paid to get what the team needed to be, to get what he needed to get for the stars, and he doesn't even remember anything about the event because it was no challenge to him. And so I think that's very important to look at when you're looking at how you just pay to win. And another content creator said that it's part of that is a good thing, in that there is a blend of that component where you're paying to get to a certain amount in the game, and it doesn't necessarily have to be related to buying stars. It could be if the game mode is so challenging that you have to go in and actually do it so many times, spend this many cores for heals, or level up your team this much more to compete, which could still be looked at as a pay to play or a pay to win. So there's different ways to outline it to where it can feel a little bit better, or the thoughts behind it can be more acceptable. And that could be where this is going to try to find that, because at the end of the day, Scopely did say this Illuminati, this whole saga here is an experiment. So it doesn't mean that they're going to stay with it, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to stay with it. What I would think is they're going to alter it somehow and bring it into a place where they think it's a good balance. The last part is guys want to have fun. There's a social aspect to it. There's a single game mode aspect to it. And the thought process behind it is that right now it's a saddening moment. It's a depressing moment. I think if we look at those 3 things, we'll get a good solid foundation on how we can still enjoy the game. And that is have fun, feel like we can compete, and not feel like we're paying to just be in the game. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go back about 25 years. And this is after I had my second car. Both were used cars, both were very old. The first one was a Chevy Nova, 1969. The other one was a 73 Monte Carlo. And so when I moved on to get something newer, I was looking around and I loved that Camaro. And I think at that time it was still the IROC Z28, bad convertible. And that car was about $22,000 at that time. Fully loaded. I mean, everything on it, $22,000. This is 25 years ago. And that same car, relatively in the same aspect of being top end, that Camaro is now going for $78,000. And so if you want to have that type of lifestyle, that kind of joy, because that's what that car is, it's joy, it's fun. It has something to do with your family and friends, your prestige, your image, how you want to live your life, then that's what you will pay. And what I ended up doing is I got a brand new car. It was, I think, a Nissan Sentra, and those were going for $9,000. But my grandmother was co-signing for the car, and they had a manual shift. and they said, you can get this car here for I think it was $6,500. Maybe it was $6,700. But it was much, much less. And she said, no, you're getting that car. And I was like, well, I don't know how to drive a stick shift. She said, well, you're going to learn today. And so that was the car that I drove off the lot with. And I had it for a few years, maybe several years. And I ended up, the last, I think 2 or 3 years I had it, I painted it, put the kit on it, dropped it down, put rims on it, did all those things to it. So I had the car a long time. And as the years went by, I think this was in 2000, I was just driving along because I was self-employed, then I had my own business. And it was Chicago. We had just gotten a foot of snow. The roads were plowed, and I drove by a car lot I always drive by, and it had this white-on-white 97 convertible, and it was an Indiana pace car. And on the sticker, it was $14,995. So I said, I'm going to stop in and look at this car and see what's going on with it. And an hour and a half later, I bought the car and I drove it home. I was driving my Durango at the time. It was actually my wife's Durango at that time because I bought it for her, but I was using it that day. I drove the car home. We picked up the Durango later. And what I'm getting at is, because of where I was at, I didn't get the newest version. I didn't get the most up-to-date version. I got something that was good for me at that level I was at, and I enjoyed it. And this was probably 25 years ago. I think it was about 25 years ago. And the Sentra, I guess, was actually 35 years ago. So the main point of this is that prices are going to go up. The game is going to have its own set of inflation. The businesses are in business to make a profit, and they're going to try to find ways to make the profit. They can't give things away for free. No matter how cheap you get it, no matter what kind of deal you get, they still make money on it. And that's what I think we have to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, we don't have to have the newest version to still have that shiny toy. And sometimes it's about waiting and not instant gratification to get that goal, because it can be more rewarding to say, I still got it. I got it now. Look what I got. I got this brand new shiny toy, and go have fun with it. And best believe, even though I had a 3-year-old white on white convertible Camaro, I ended up putting Corvette rims on it, and I had my fun. And so to bring this back to MSF, you can still have your fun. Remember, 80% of the player base plays as a social aspect. No matter where you fall in those other 3 categories, most guys have an achiever aspect that they do want to have hit achievements in the game. You can still do that. You don't have to have the newest releases to do that, and you can still compete because you've been competing the whole time and not having the newest release every time on everything when it first comes out. And there will be things in the future that we will be able to get the newest release when it comes out. And that's just a balance in the game I think they're trying to find. And maybe it overstepped in this case, but a balance will come at some point. Overall, happiness is something we create for ourselves. It's like if you get married, you can't make the other person happy. They have to already be happy before you get with them. Otherwise, it's a temporary fix. And that's kind of the same concept here. Not saying guys weren't happy or there's some type of unhappiness, but life has its stress and pressures. And so if the game is causing more stress and pressure, it's got to go. But if the stress and pressure is coming from somewhere else, then quitting the game is not the answer. So keep in mind that this is a hobby, this is a way to have fun, this is a release, this is a way to get away from stress and pressures. Very much like working out or enjoying some type of sport or hiking or boating or whatever it is you like to do, fishing even. It's a way to come together with your friends, to share strategies, solutions, a friendly competition, and just enjoy that time. And I think most of us, if not all of us, need that aspect added or maintained in our lives. So overall, if you're having fun, don't let the little bumps in the road or a wave here and there unsettle you. Just keep in mind that you're having fun and going forward with ways to continue to have fun. So let's take a look at the matchmaking for the new season. But mostly I just wanted to go over some of the basics. You can see the guys I matched up with on the right here. And of course, You guys have been following everything, so you know we didn't drop down, so I think that's a great thing. Dorky talked about a change in the trophies, so I think that'll be a good thing as well, especially when we're punching up and we take a loss. But I'm at 1794, so I finished last week 1 and 2. And as you can see, I'm on the lower end of D3, which is fine because I didn't have to go backwards, so I'm glad of that. I had not checked this to now, but I guess there's no ranking as of yet. I was high 500s. I could have been low 600s because I was fluctuating in there somewhere, so we'll see what happens. I know at one point I was 640, and I think I finished at 590 or 580 or something like that. Hopefully we'll see the leaderboard soon enough. So this is matchmaking. I'm in the middle again, and the two people that I know for sure is Doolum, because we see him all the time. Here is Doolum's stats and Stan Lee. And Stan Lee was one of my captains. And many of us have seen Doolum's videos, so it'd be great to match with him. I don't know these other guys. I've seen Gorilla on the leaderboard, so let's just go through their stats. So Gorilla's with Legion. You can't see it now, but he's with Legion. And I never imagined I'd go against somebody this high up with TCP. So this could be interesting if we get matched. I've seen Brian before, and I may have gone against Brian before. I think I just went against Brian last season. So it's possible we could get matched again. I've not matched against 2i, and I don't think I've ever seen him before. But I think this would be a good matchup. We're very closely matched with TCP and STP, so I think that'd be great. Here are my stats. I've shot up a lot because I went hard to finish up the tunes I need to get into the final section of Dark Dimension 7. And I'll jump over that in a bit so you guys can kind of understand my plan a little bit of what I'm trying to do. I have seen Vic's name on the leaderboard, so clearly he's doing well. It will be a 20 mil punch down for me, but the STP is the same, so I'm thinking we're at about the same place when it comes to the game. As well as Commander Dwayne. This will be a great matchup, I think. I'm just looking at these guys' stats from top to bottom, and so there's some strong stats here. So shooting over to DD7, I made a push. I'm on the last node. I'm hoping that I can finish tonight, but if not, I think a couple days, because I would like to get Mephisto and finish the last floor of the satellite event. So we'll see how that goes. I think going in with Doom, this section is a lot easier when I compare how Pat is doing, because we're at about the same place, and how Updog did when he was at this point. I chose Dorm because he was a little bit cheaper, and I had 2 diamonds on him. And at the time, I didn't have any diamonds on Doom. I do have 1 diamond on Doom. And I'm not upset with this choice because it's just going to take me a little bit longer. And as you can see here, it took me 5 attacks. I think Updog said it took him 2. I think some guys said they one-shot this. So I've had my challenges here, but it's taken me 5 attacks so far, and it could possibly take me 4 to 5 attacks here. So I'm thinking 5 attacks and 5 attacks. That's what I'm planning for. And then maybe I can have Mephisto. Once I got into the Cosmic section, I've been pretty steadily staying in the 700s. I was in the higher 700s, now I'm in the lower 700s. So I'm guessing I'll finish somewhere in here. These are some of the guys near me. You know, Pat is right in front of me. And I don't really know any of these guys here, so I guess, well, I've seen Batman before, of course. But I don't think I really have chatted with any of these guys here, so this is a different area for me to be in when it comes to Dark Dimension. Because even DD6 was the best I had done, and I finished at 2100 or low 2100s. So finishing in the top 1000 would be really different. And just in the honesty of it, oh, there's Desir. Okay, so I know Desir. There's really no way to finish this fast without spending a good amount of money, and that's what happened. Some of my rationale to get into Mystic was to buy one of the deals that would give me gear going towards Hank, because I was going to wait. Because I figured I'd have Mephisto by the end of next week. And I'm glad I did, because I do really want to finish the satellite last node. and I'll touch on that real quick with you guys so you can kind of understand my plan. As well as after seeing the matchmaking this morning, it's like, wow, I'm going to be going against a lot of guys that have Mephisto or Taserface. Hadn't seen him in a while. Or will have Mephisto very soon, and it could be sometime this week. So, in looking at Satellite, I had a day where I stumbled. I don't know, it was I think it was floor 43, and so I've only gotten to here. This is my second time getting to this floor, when it could have been my third time. And that's the difference, because I would have been in the 300s instead of closer to 600. So I would like to get a 3 diamond cap. I have a 1 diamond cap, so getting a 2 diamond is great, but I'm close enough for a push to get to a 3 diamond. And that was another reason to push forward with Dark Dimension 7, to try to get Mephisto before this event ends, because I have 2 days, so that will be plenty of time to try to get in there and make sure I'm in the top 500. I have a 2 diamond Patriot, so none of it matters if I did not get Mephisto, because I'd be in the top 5,000. I get a 2 diamond Captain America. But since I have a chance, that was part of the push and the rationale to go hard and get Mephisto this weekend. So let's just start where it matters the most, and that would be my room 2. And my thought is to piggyback on the Zero idea that he did late or mid last season, and just use this Wakanda team with Black Panther Shuri and Mephisto. So you guys know all about Black Panther Shuri, and having her in here with Wakanda, they'll all get the Illuminati tags. That can be helpful. And with Mephisto, this could be a very hard room to beat. So that's the rationale behind having Mephisto here. But I will probably run Infinity Watch with Quicksilver, because as I thought about it and watching all the videos this morning, one of the key things that came up when Mobile Gamer and Dorky Dad was talking about room 4, and so that takes me to room 4. And so I think most everyone is seeing how destructive the Old Man Logan, the Mercs for Money, Nightcrawler can be in this room, and probably with a zombie Juggernaut. And I was planning on running zombie Juggernaut, and I thought about it. I said, well, I can probably get the similar results here with Drax and keep zombie Juggernaut on offense, because it's just room 2, because it's room 4. And so that's the thought process behind having Ray Guardian here. The Dakin is mostly to throw off any Tangle Web counters, as well as Massive E will be harder to get work in here. APOC counters will be harder to work in here. So this is just going to be a strong team. And of course, Nightcrawler makes a lot of other type counters very hard to work. But I think I'm going to end up running Illuminati in here, because mostly the idea behind running the Old Man Logan team was in here was it's good to run him in here no matter what. But my plan was based on putting Mephisto on defense. And so as I thought about it, I said, well, if I need Mephisto on offense to beat an Illuminati, because that is what Mobile Gamer brought up and it kind of makes sense, then why not try Illuminati in 4? They may get countered, and they may give guys a hard time, as they did some of the guys in the CC tournament. So I'm going to run Illuminati in here and keep, if I get Mephisto or not, I'll run him on offense the first week, or at least into the 3rd trial, and then maybe I'll put Mephisto on defense. And it won't be a Shuri on defense with them, but I could just still throw him in there with the basic Wakanda team and to see how that goes for the last trial, because I think we do have to use them on offense, this Illuminati team, to get the full points for whatever the exact zone event is. So let's skip over to room 1, and this is the room rules we had a couple seasons ago, where it seems like putting Black Knight in this room with another tank and some type of team that could have some sustain or survivability would be really a hard team to beat. And so my original thought was Shuri in 2 with Mephisto, and Hank in 3 with the Out of Time team. And Hank having so much in his kit to go out to all heroes just seems like this team would be really, really hard to beat. And it could come down to me trying this at some point, because I may end up putting Mephisto on defense. And this is a team that Desir put in his last video. And I was thinking to run Rogue Gambit with Black Knight and a different 2. And I thought about it, so well, Cat would be great in here, and Forge as well, because of how the trio and the duo will work together. And so instead of looking for 2 additional members or even 1, whether it be Forge or whether it be Cap, I like this idea, so I'm going to run this team here in 1 this week. And as a recap, Room 2 will be Infinity Watch with Quicksilver. It's not that Quicksilver makes this team harder to beat. There's just an RNG factor where Quicksilver may tunnel down if you're using Pegasus on the rescue and make that hard, or you don't know who he's going to hit if they use an Eternals counter. I don't know if guys will have as hard a time either way if they're using, say, a Hive Mind, but once again, you just don't know who Quicksilver is going to go after. In this room, he will get his ult first, so there's some things that make having Quicksilver with the Infinity Watch in Room 2 a challenge, and it could work out in my favor, if nothing else, to just drag down a guy's efficiency trying to take him out. So Room 3 is going to be Old Man Logan and his Mercs for Money with Nightcrawler. And at the moment, I'm still going to go with Red Guardian. I haven't built up pretty well. I pulled a 3 diamond on him, and so I end up taking him to 16,100, and now I have him at 18,100. So I think he'll serve his purpose for the most part, because the main thing, even in this room, that it's not really giving a whole lot to this team, is that Old Man Logan get a chance to get claws out, and once he does, then he's hard to beat. I think the idea behind him being in Room 4 is that he may actually hold the room and become unbeatable. So that'd be more of the thought process behind putting him in Room 4. And in most cases, I think they should go in Room 4. And so Illuminati will be in Room 4. And the biggest reason is just because even with the Old Man Logan team, is there's going to be a lot of specials first. And most teams that will counter this or counter the Old Man Logan team, they're going to need their ults on the first turn. And it's going to be hard to find a team to beat either your Illuminati or your Mercs team in Room 4. Now, there are a couple counters that may be able to work on this. And they've been talked about in various videos, so we'll see. I've seen how guys can have some success and failures from the CC tournament with this Room 4. So my thought is I just want to try them out to make some decisions and have some information, because the worst case scenario is they get beat and I just have to try to have better efficiency. And after looking at this week's matchmaking, I think it's better for me to have more on offense, meaning even Mephisto, if I'm gonna have a chance to win. And so finally we're getting to Room 5. And I'm just gonna run the Hive Mind scroll again, but this time I'm gonna run Sasquatch in here. And that's because Sasquatch will keep getting this taunt every turn until he goes stealth. So I do think there are a few teams that are working here. I mean, you could use your Infinity Watch in here. You could use your Darkhold in here. It could be a Quicksilver, it could be a Loki. But for where I'm at, I think my best bet is to go with the Spider Society in here, because they do well with their specials, or they do well with just their ults. And however it gets combinated for them, they're going to do fine. The problem that I'm seeing is that if you take a Secret Defenders in here, they might win, but normally the specials are used on Secret Defenders, and so that may make it harder for them to beat the Spider Society in 6. I don't think Superior 6 will have a problem. I think they will be fine, or it may drag down efficiency a little bit. We'd have to see how that goes, how it plays out. But in the end, this team can be countered. It's just in here because I think this is a pretty good room for them to be in, with the combination of my other rooms and what I have in those rooms. So that's it for this one, guys. I'm looking forward to the start of the season. I hope you can feel a little bit more encouraged and just going forward and trying to enjoy the game the way you would like to. Okay, guys, chat later.